the meeting is being live streamed. This time I'll try not to see right here where you say got it, and then there's another button that says leave meeting. That's what I clicked. That's what I clicked last time accidentally. So I'm just
That'd be
going
the
to
worst
click
thing.
that I got it this time. That way, hopefully I won't just mess it up. But we're going a little early this time to see who's truly a fan, to see who shows up first.
Perfect.
Actually, just seemed worthwhile. So we might not, for anyone watching, we don't know if Shay's going to make it tonight or not. So we're just going to rock on. Hope he can show up. Last time accidentally. But if not, we're not going to, probably not going to make it too much of a long one. I got to take off about 45 minutes. So if you guys got any questions, make sure you throw them in.
We'll have to see. Well, I got 8 people on my live right here. So it's
awesome.
So far, so good.
Yeah, we got 5. I'm showing 5 on my side. They're starting to go up. So greetings, everyone. Plenty of stuff to talk about. I just made a recent video because we're going to talk a lot about, you want to cover some bug out bags, and we can go over current events as well. Always weird shit going on in the world. And we can go over the best survival fishing kit on the market, if anyone wants to talk about that.
Oh, we definitely going to talk about that good stuff.
Cool deal. What's up? What's up? We got Mark Olson, Richard Kavonian. Is that Armenian in our midst? Hello, hello. All right. And watching. So welcome, everyone. Like I was saying just a few seconds ago, we don't know if Shay's going to show up or not, but we're ready if he shows up. Hopefully he'll drop in. And so what do you got going on, Dan?
So basically, I also got my TikTok live going. Now, if
Excellent.
You folks want to watch through my TikTok, or you can go to YouTube and type in Rule the Wasteland. And you can check out that live as well.
That should, it should show you up, or should have it show up then. Richard Cavonian says, can you hear me? I can see your text. I can't hear it. Yeah.
Your door right now.
Type louder and maybe I can hear it.
Set off a paraflare or
right. Yeah.
I'm over here.
Right.
Wait. I think I hear Richard.
Good day for a can of sunshine, always. Also good day for a can of stag chili Laredo flavor.
So I don't know, with the things heating up in the world today.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, boys and girls, I should say, want to be politically
inclusive. Correct. You got to be inclusive.
But I don't know. What's your plans? Are your folks? Are you gonna be bugging in? Or are you gonna be bugging out? What's your
Yeah, that's one of the things that we've talked about before, and it seems like everyone kind of has it in their head ahead of time of what they're going to do, which is weird to me. Like they're like, I'm automatically going to leave, or I'm never going to leave, kind of thing. And I'm like, to me, leaving or bugging out, it can be a primary plan, it can be a secondary plan, but it's a technique. It's kind of like ducking in a fight or something. You're not just like, so what are you going to do? Like, well, I'm going to duck, and be like, well, if I need to, if the punch is coming at my head, I'm going to duck. But if you just stand there like ducking, like that's not really going to do anything. To me, it's based exclusively on the situation, whereas there could be tons of situations why you would want to and need to leave. There can be a lot of situations why it would be a terrible idea to leave if you have any sort of decent preparedness. So it just all depends. You got to be ready for it.
I just see it. I just see it how it is. I look at Black Friday or sales where people are sleeping out at night and they're fighting over for that last fucking 30-inch TV. When I think when people are like, oh, fuck, he has food or she has food or that house has food, I'm going to go into that house and I'm going to take that food. So bugging in and, it's just probably the last thing you want to do unless you're ready to commit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends on the city. You see a nuke go off like 6 miles away, you probably don't want to just run outside and be like in the fallout, but like you said, in situations where there's a ton of people around and you're in like a semi-suburban area and you have maybe a little bit of advance notice and somewhere specific to go, like a cabin or something, might be a great idea to get the hell out of there.
Gotcha.
But and then I recently, I don't know if you've been watching that show, The Last of Us, about like the fungus zombies.
Oh, I've heard about it, but I haven't.
Yeah, it's only like 2 episodes. Normally I like to wait and binge everything, but figured I'd go ahead and watch it and then just talk about it. But like in the beginning of that show, when they realize something's amiss, like the zombie apocalypse has started, they basically try to leave right away. And like, I don't necessarily think that's smart, because you don't know they don't know exactly what's going on. They know it's some kind of disease, but they don't know what it is, how it spreads, where it is. Like they could be going deeper into, if it's some kind of biological attack, they could be going to where it's heaviest, and they just like leave. And that's not necessarily the smartest idea either. So I think always information is going to dictate what you do.
Well, and guaranteed. And also, if people are staying in their house and they're, stacking bodies as one person,
right, yeah, I saw that.
It's like, well, let's just burn that fucker's house down when he's sleeping. You know what I mean? So he's obviously going to be a problem, and we can't get to his food because he's been shooting, all these people. Let's just burn his house down, and then he's fucked.
Right. Yeah, but there's a lot of in-betweens too, where like scenarios in between that where there might not be roving bands of raiders, so you can have some anonymity just staying in your house and not leaving for 2 weeks. So that's why I just think it's important to be able to do both, because you never know what's going to make the difference in terms of like, I need to stay, I can't stay. So but bugging out should always be on your list. So we're talking about that tonight, about how you would want. And I brought my big ass bug out bag, because yours is more, the one you had is more oriented towards like getting to a specific location,
right,
within a few days travel max, right?
Well, definitely. It's pretty much I'll just kind of hold it up here. You can kind of see it. It's tiny, but it's got pretty much everything. And I'll pull things out and show everybody, but it's pretty much got everything that you're going to need to get from point A to point B, where technically, in my mind, when I bug out, all my stuff is going to be at my bug out location.
Right.
And I know a lot of people, when they think bug out bags, is they're going to be living in the rest of the apocalypse in that bug out bag, which
right. Well, that's why some people make a distinction between like an inch bag or I'm never coming home versus just a bug out bag. I kind of treat them all as one category of thing, because I think you should probably have some thought to either scenario, no matter what your situation is. You know what I mean? Like right now, the bug out bag that I brought here is a true, like, I don't know when I'm coming back. I don't know where to necessarily be going. So I can't even get it in front of the camera because it's fucking huge. It's a big, like, it's a 50-pound bag. Oh, wow. So, which is too heavy, probably, but I've done it before. I know I can carry it. And most, like I was telling Dan before we started the show, the vast majority of my plan would be, I would be using a vehicle 100% of the time unless something happened and I couldn't. And most of the scenarios where I couldn't use a vehicle would be like an EMP or something like that, potentially, which my vehicle might work anyway. But like in those situations, I wouldn't necessarily automatically be bugging out anyway, or wouldn't be so urgent that I couldn't pare this down a little bit. Like I can carry it. I have carried bags that heavy for 10 miles, you know what I mean? So I know I can do it. And if it became an issue, I could start leaving the less important stuff. But
hopefully you have some place to go to. Like eventually your vehicle will run out of fuel. Hopefully, that,
yeah, I don't have like an actual property that I own that I'm saying this is automatically where I'm going. So it would depend on the circumstances. Like if I just needed to get out of a contaminated zone, or if I was going to somewhere where relatives lived, I would have a specific destination. But yeah, so then I could just last until then. But I have like totes set up to where I know I'm going to throw these in the truck, so not just bugging out on foot, but like if I just need to leave, most of the time I'd be taking a vehicle. And so then I have this, it's like if I had to grab one thing and leave on foot, that's the bug out bag. But beyond that, I have just like evacuation supplies, which would be in totes, and just throw them. So you could hopefully load up a pretty decent setup in the truck in like 10 or 15 minutes. Then if you really had to get out of there.
I noticed one thing you were doing on your channel that, a lot of videos that you have been doing about prepping and stuff is using, I use Home Depot buckets, but I think you have like a sort of thing, the actual food-wise buckets. Yeah,
the food grade buckets are the same thing. I mean, I don't think is that what you're talking about? Just food grade buckets?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're I get them from Home Depot too. They usually have both, which one will just be a plastic bucket. They're both HDPE plastic. I think the food grade typically just means that they're supposed to not have like BPAs in the plastic, which they're a couple bucks more. If you're going to use the Mylar bags in them, I don't think it really matters that much, to use food grade. You want to make sure nothing else has been in the bucket, regardless of what type of bucket it is. That's more important. Like if you have motor oil in a bucket, you don't want to use it even if it was a food grade bucket. If you're going to pour the rice and oats or whatever directly in the bucket, I would think it would probably matter a little bit more. But most of the time, BPAs leach into like plastics when they're heated. So your food shouldn't be being stored in anything hot anyway. So it's kind of like a best practices, I guess, go ahead and use the food grade buckets. But if you just have a brand new clean HDPE bucket, especially if you have a liner of Mylar, I don't think it's really going to make too big of a difference.
Gotcha. So yeah, I guess I can start pulling out some cool.
Yeah, let's see what you got. While you're opening it, one of the things that I like for bugging out, camping, whatever, is you get your long spoons. See how long it is?
Oh, yeah.
Because you see so many. I've seen so many of those. And I have another, like a titanium spork version that's kind of like this too. And if you've been in the military, you know the MRE spoons are really long because you get any of those foods out of cans, especially the pouches. Like you got to get in there or else it gets all over your hand. And this is super lightweight too. I think this is a GSI one. I'll try to put the links to them later after we should stop the video. But like I've seen some that have like a spoon on one side and a fork on the other, and they're really short. Like those are so hard to use without just getting it all over your hand, getting it dirty. So I like the long.
But it always depends how you tilt your bag. I know. We have the IMPs in the Canadian military, and basically, so it's a big long, but we'd always cant them to this side, and then now it's nice and short. But or you could roll it up like a toothpaste, I guess, and try to push the stuff up to the top while you have your little spoon. Like, you just make a little thing and then roll it out.
Yeah, so squeeze it out like a Go-Gurt.
I couldn't imagine doing that for any of the Canadian IMPs. You know what? I'll pull one off the shelf after.
Right. But also, like some of them are ones like if you're doing a mountain house where you have to open it up to pour the water in too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then you'd want to get your long spoon.
Oh, put that up next to your head there. Let's see.
It's about, that's about right now.
4 inches.
Yeah, right. Wait a second. That doesn't seem right. I think I got the thing for this here somewhere. Where does it say?
That is a pretty neat. It's definitely
9.9 inches.
Wow.
So if you can handle that, gives you full penetration into your food pouches.
Yeah, that's a lot of spooning.
Make sure you can bottom out in those pouches.
Wow. Every single time this
it somehow devolves
goes fucking right
to dicks.
Good old life straw. What's your take on these things?
What's that?
What's your take on these things?
I think they're extremely useful. I know JJ has done videos on the I think the type of medium in there can potentially get damaged if they freeze with water in them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Because it can like rupture it, but they're great and they're super cost effective. I mean, like if you have a couple of those, like they're like what maybe nowadays are $20 or $30. They used to be like $15, I think. But for the amount of the weight and the amount of water you can get through them and everything like that, they're fantastic. I think they are just potentially more fragile than something like a Katadyn or something like that. Someone said I was watching somebody's video and there's like a really weird way you're actually supposed to pronounce Katadyn, and it's not Katadyn, it's Katadyn or something like that.
Oh, okay. Well, but I'm sure the ground Nazis are watching.
Yeah, exactly. Don't let me know.
in the comments.
It's actually a Cree Indian word meaning. I was like, whatever, man.
But you know what? These are in Canada. Unfortunately, these things are about $25 to $26 each.
Yeah.
And then you can sometimes get them some good deals at Costco where you can get 4 of them for about I think they were $60 or what have you.
I mean, and that's honestly worth it because, like I said, I think they're good for at least a few hundred gallons, if not a few thousand, which is a lot. You know, if you're thinking of because it's going to be drinking water. So if you're drinking 2 gallons or using 2 gallons a day of drinking water, that's still like a year or whatever, even if they're at like 500 gallons. But I think it might be more than that. Let me see if I can look that up.
I have heard too that a lot of people are like, well, I get to a stream, well, I'm not thirsty, but if you still carry your empty water bottles with you,
you want to top off and everything.
You can always top up your water bottles, and then when you finally do get thirsty, you can jam the straw into the depending on if you have a little container with you, which you should, or cup or what have you, then you can always suck out that delicious water, I suppose.
Right. And like right now on Amazon for Americans, they're like $17 for those things delivered. So that's a deal. And it says they do 4,000 liters, so about 1,000 gallons. So that's, like I said, that's for in a survival situation, that's super good. You just can't bang them around too much, I think, or it could
Right.
potentially damage the filter medium. But yeah, they're great.
Well, the good thing about this bag, it's got a nice little loops here. So when you're done with it, you can just jam it back there. Or it has a drawstring that you can kind of wear it around your neck. But I guess it really depends, what you're going through, or if it's heavy bush or what have you. If you're jumping into the fucking ground a lot, where because you're trying to hide from somebody. But another thing that I put in this thing was, I think a lot of people kind of forget about it, but if it's a couple days or depending on the weather and stuff, but I got soap, face.
Oh hell yeah.
Toothbrush.
I definitely have, because I kind of use my bug out bag. Like there's a lot of extra stuff in there, but when I go, because I got a camping trip coming up here soon too, so I'm gonna be pulling some of this stuff out. But I take my basic like camping kit, because like hygiene stuff like that's super important. I got the little toothpaste, toothbrush, little microfiber towel, all that. Like my bug out bag is meant to be like a complete like living off this camping kit, and then the only thing I could add to it necessarily would be like more food, more guns, more ammo, in the vehicle. But like with the bag as is, I have the tent, I have the sleeping bag, I've got my toiletries kit, I got a little bit of food, a little bit of water, a little bit of tools, a wilderness survival tools, fire starting stuff, maybe a small amount of like trapping and fishing, like the wilderness, like the Rule the Wasteland survival fishing kit. Definitely though, if you not to plug my own product here, but like compared to trapping like land animals, it takes a lot less work and skill to be able to catch fish than it does to like set up traps and stuff like that. And if you watch like a lot of those shows, I don't know to what extent they're set up or scripted, but like Alone or Naked and Afraid, and so I think Alone is the one I'm thinking of, where they get a few pieces of gear. A lot of the people who stay out there the longest are the ones who are able to get fish, because it's just such a much easier way to get meat than any other hunting method, in like a primitive way anyway. Obviously, if you've got guns and ammo, hunting is a lot easier. Right. But using snares and stuff like that, or figure four, that stuff all works. But dropping a line in, you don't even necessarily have to stand there and watch it. That's a lot easier. Yeah, tools are important. The downside with tools when it comes to a bug out bag is they're heavy. So you want to go with stuff that's as useful and small as possible. So, mini hatchets, stuff like that. And I have a separate bag of stuff that I would throw in a vehicle, more tools. I have a whole like rolling toolkit that I use that I would throw in my truck if it was like a true, I don't know when I'm coming back scenario. I'd just put the whole tool chest in there.
Now that fishing kit, can that be shipped to Canada?
Yeah, it's on Amazon, so if you can buy it or on rulethewasteland.com, it'll cost a little more for shipping, obviously. I just sent a message I sent a package to Canadian Prepper. Won't have even gotten to him yet, but to see if he wants to host them on his Canadian Preparedness website. So if they get on there, then it would probably be a lot cheaper for you guys to buy it through him. But
Gotcha.
they're not there yet, so hopefully he'll be able to be interested.
Well, I don't know, man. I'd rather go through you, because knows, right? Like,
oh yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, it just might be more expensive. Like I definitely have shipped to Canada from rulethewasteland.com, and it'll just be a few bucks more. And I don't know about Amazon. I'm sure they have the option for it through there if you can buy on it. But like I said, I don't know what. If you go to Amazon, can you only see like Amazon CA listings, or can you see it all? Like can you like go on there and see what it says when you look up my fishing kit? See if it like lets you.
Well, I just go through. I've gone through your website and checked out some of your stuff. So
yeah,
I haven't gone through Amazon to check it, but
if you pull it up later, let me know what it looks like, if it's available for you to buy or not.
Definitely. And so another couple cool things that I got in this little thing is just I don't know if you've seen these collapsible stoves.
Yeah, those like the little Esbit stoves, right, for the block fuels.
Yeah, so it pretty much just pops up here. You got some fuel that comes with it, but you have this little, even if you don't have this thing's nice and light. You start a little fire underneath, and it's pretty much, you can, depending on if you got a cup or what have you, but you can start heating up water and what have you, and then basically it's you got your hot water for your food. Which I got a Gilly kettle with a Kelly kettle thing in there
that's a little bigger. It's a lot bigger. It's not necessarily heavy. It's heavier than those, obviously, but they're a great way to use like a little bit less fuel because it's basically a rocket stove. So you
Yeah.
can use twigs and stuff, and you can cook on top or whatever while it's heating the water in the hollow body of the kettle, which is pretty cool.
Right. But it's one of those things, and also you can use it for heat. Like these heat tabs are perfect, but it's one of those things. I guess you really wouldn't be wanting to have the heat inside your tent, because I remember lighting these things up in the military, and they give off
melt your tent.
Smell. But I have a little.
Oh, you got a 4-incher there?
Talking about. Not as big.
You gotta get yourself a 9-incher.
Yeah.
Long spoon.
But it's got the spoon and fork. But you're absolutely right. Now that I'm looking at it, I guess if you're
you can't use them both during the same meal either. Like if you need the spoon and the fork, then you're like, oh shit, and you're holding the goopy end that you just used.
Oh, yeah, good point. But and I also picked up just like a tiny little knife. It's one of those little things that
like Swiss Army knife style. I think that's one of the Winchester ones I have. I think I have one of those.
Also a little.
There you go. Rape whistle.
Whoa, there it is. But it's just one of those things, because it could be, if you're trapped or if you need to talk to somebody, or I saw those whistles. I was like, oh fuck, I'll buy a bunch and see what. Well,
yeah, I mean, because we always think of like end of the world type scenarios, but there's a lot of other scenarios. It would be like a search and rescue type thing where you would want to be able to get people's attention, you know, signal different types of things. Or if you're not alone, you could use it as like, I'm going to go down by the water to do this. If anything happens, blast the whistle 3 times and I can come, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, that is, communication. So
right.
I also got a nice little one of these military kind of great flashlights that are quite.
I was thinking, because there's a lot that kind of look like that have built-in tasers, and a lot of them are like cheaper. They're not great flashlights, but I was thinking of, and I'm not suggesting doing anything illegal here because I don't know what the laws are, but I was thinking of ways. Disclaimer. Yeah, but one like on an airplane, like I brought flashlights on airplanes plenty of time. Like I throw it in my backpack just to have it with me, and I'm like, hell, if it was one of those taser ones, they probably wouldn't know the difference. And then if someone got rowdy,
could you or they didn't bring your beef stroganoff on time?
Exactly.
Or they keep bumping you with the drink cart.
Yeah, they put their fucking bare foot up on the footrest and zap the bottom of it real quick. Like, wow, sorry, my flashlight shorted out on me.
Oh, that's weird. But so there's another cool thing that I kind of got, these fire lights. Have you seen any of these before?
Yeah, I've seen different versions. I'm not sure. Those are the little sticks, right? That are basically,
I've tried them before. Like I've tried these outside before, and they light up quite well, but it's just like a little piece of.
It's kind of like a fat wood that they made. They're like impregnated. It's like shavings mashed together, impregnated some sort of like accelerant.
Which is and it lights up quite nice. Also another thing, I don't know if you remember the video I did with the firelight, but basically it didn't work too well with the striker gives to you, but for a stronger blade works better. So that's
that's the thing I've learned too, is that you need a really aggressive edge to get a good spark on those. And like, I don't like using the blade of knives. I prefer to use the spine, but a lot of spines on knives are like too rounded. And you've seen some people come out, like I think Survival Lily's knife has like a specific spot that has a very like machined, almost raw edge to get a really good bite into that. And it helps also to have a longer, stick, the better, the longer. But speaking of length, no, but I think it was actually Morgan from Road Preparedness had turned me on to the fact that there are like really big ferrosium rods you can get. Like some are like as big as this cardboard tube. I have one that's just about 1/2 inch and like 6 inches long, and you can get it's a lot easier to use than like the really tiny ones. They still work, but the bigger is heavier and whatnot, but it's a lot easier to use.
But you know what? A whole thing. The best thing is, have a couple lighters in your bug out bag. Unfortunately, I don't have any lighters here, but definitely, a couple lighters. You know, they go to the dollar store, they're only, you know, $1 each or what have you. But
Right.
you know, another cool thing that I got was these great little things here, and of course, you know, just because Trudeau says that we got to get rid of plastic water bottles, I picked up the drinking water
pouch. Yeah.
Because, you know, God forbid we have water bottles in the you know,
Right.
getting into turtles'
I was
nose.
just, yeah, right, and stuck in it. I was just talking to someone the other day about how, like, nowadays when you have a bottle of water, like, you can, they make them with such thin plastic that you can barely like open it without like crushing it.
Oh, it's
You
crazy.
know, like it's you have to hold it all daintily, because I remember back in the day you could just grab it, open it. Now I'm like, the water like sprays out because the plastic is so thin, it's like barely self-supporting. It's more like a bag.
Yeah, it seems that products are I bought a Mr. Big chocolate bar the other night, and it was I opened it up like, what the fuck is this thing? You know, the package is still the same, but it seems like it's just half a chocolate bar in that thing.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the crazy shit in Iran. Why we might need to bug out. Unless you had anything else you wanted to go over in your bag.
You know what? It's just pretty much now. It's just food and
oh yeah, good stuff.
shelter. But it's yeah, I'm pretty much done with that stuff. But
cool.
Yeah,
so because I just made a video and it looks like I beat Canadian Prepper to it. Ha ha ha. But he has a video from 9 minutes ago, which I presume is about the strikes in Iran as well. Because I'd said a long time ago that, and I'm not the only one certainly, that I really thought this stuff was going to escalate into further, not necessarily just escalate in intensity, but spread in terms of geographics, you know,
right.
So different fronts opening up as well, because it would just be impossible not to if it continues. And that at the time, you don't know which one's going to be first. It could be Korean Peninsula, it could be China, Japan, it could be China, Taiwan, it could be any like Azerbaijan and Armenia, you know, it could be, of course, Iran and Israel, or somewhere in the Middle East. And that's what we're seeing now, is there's some kind of attack in drone strike in Iran. And it's obviously that it was some NATO force or coalition or country that did it. I don't see why it wouldn't have been Israel, you know, even if it was at the behest of NATO, but it might have been the US. But yeah, there's some kind of drone strike going on in Iran, probably to take out some uranium enrichment facilities or something like that. But I doubt that this doesn't continue to escalate, because I don't think they're just going to take that line down. So what have you heard about that from Canadian sources?
You know, I haven't really seen a whole lot of stuff. Now, I don't know. I was going on something about all these Western powers donating stuff to the Ukraine.
Right. Yeah, tanks, tons of tanks.
Oh, like Canada just gave up our last 4 good working tanks to our Ukraine, and I'm just like, oh fuck, man. So basically, Putin said, don't help out Ukraine, or we'll act. It's going to be an aggression towards us. And I'm thinking to myself,
right,
these guys, these Western powers, are donating all this stuff to the Ukraine so they can do something back to their people.
Right.
You know, bring in another, you know, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that video of the footage of the Pentagon strike, and it's finally it's been, somebody found it, and yeah, fucking it looks like a missile going in.
Oh, from 9/11, you mean? Yeah. Oh yeah, that was it was totally shady. It's like perfectly parallel to the ground, and like 6 feet off the ground.
So
really shady. There's so much shady. Like, I don't have any specific theory about 9/11. Like, a lot of people have their pet theories, but there's just a lot of shady stuff. That's for sure. And it just happened to hit the area where it deletes the information about the missing trillions of dollars. It hits like the finance department bill. Like, oh, come on.
Yeah, exactly. so much weird stuff going on that you just cannot explain anymore. But who knows? Like, I wouldn't put it past the Canadian government doing something to its people and then blaming Putin. You know what I mean?
Right. And yeah, we can see that everywhere. Like, there's obviously any sort of, even if it's not a full-on false flag in the sense of like literally completely faked, you know, like allowed to happen or instigated, you know, and there's, you know, in the same way that like some people say that Pearl Harbor could have been maybe avoided, but they kind of like would let certain things happen, even regardless of whether that's true or not. Just that's certainly a possibility. We've seen like there's all these declassified things coming out about these like Operation Northwoods and stuff. Or isn't that the one where CIA was openly discussing blowing up an American airline or faking it to try and get us involved? Is that the right one? Am I thinking of the right one? Is that Operation Northwoods?
I think I seen something reference that. Maybe anybody talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a proposed false flag operation against American citizens that originated with the U.S. Department. And this is Wikipedia. This is not a fucking Alex Jones over here. The proposals called for CIA operatives to both stage and commit acts of violent terrorism against American military and civilian targets, blaming them on the Cuban government to justify a war against Cuba. So that didn't happen, but it was something that they actually, our own government, intel agencies did propose. So to act like that could never possibly happen when I think they're probably more corrupt than ever is a little bit naive. So it's certainly, and other countries as well. Like people talk all they want about, how bad Putin is and how bad, how corrupt these other governments are. You don't think that they would be at least thinking about that sort of stuff,
Who's that government? Well, I guess it would have been about 4 or 5 years ago, but wasn't that government that gassed his own people?
Which one? Like Assad or somebody?
Yeah, like a Assad guy that gassed his own people. And
that shit happens all over the place and worldwide, over the years, where people are willing to do it. When something is super important or super expensive or whatever, then there's a lot of incentive for things to go a certain way. A lot of unscrupulous people are going to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
100%. And if people think that, I know a lot of people think, the government would never go out of their way to hurt us.
But we know, like I said, we just know about this stuff. We know about these experiments they did on people, like with the syphilis experiments. We know about Operation Northwoods. Like this stuff isn't necessarily always what's happening, but we know it's at least a possibility.
So if people tend to think that, this isn't going to happen, then they got to start either doing some research or crawling out of their bubble. But who knows? Maybe this thing in Iran was, or somebody else is trying to get it kicked off. Like, what about that pipeline that got blown up?
Right. Yeah, it could be that they want to try to extend Russia into multiple, overextend them to try and have to help out Iran. They could be trying to simply get, because I know, or at least I've heard that Israel and Russia are not necessarily at loggerheads. They have certain like economic relations and stuff like that. So they may be trying to cut that off completely. Like if force Israel and Iran to have issues so Russia has to pick one to kind of ally with, which would almost certainly pick Iran, I think, just because of all their connections.
Right.
And just kind of, separate it, make sure the lines are drawn more clearly in that, make sure that Israel doesn't have any mixed loyalties of any kind, but who knows? I don't know. There's people that know a lot more about this than I do, but it's definitely some escalation going on.
Well, like Buddy was saying here, the Canadian government joked about sending a tank to the truckers rally last year.
Joked.
Yeah, but apparently, from what I understand, to all the people that I know that are still in the military, the Canadian military wouldn't go to the trucker rally anyway because they weren't deemed a threat. The only people that were threatened was our
politicians. Yeah. But how many times has Joe Biden now come out and talked about using nukes and F-15s against the Second Amendment supporters and stuff?
Which blows my mind, because I don't know if Biden's getting a lot worse from the election.
He definitely is.
Stringing sentences together is a hard thing to do.
And my stance is that if first of all, it's just a ridiculous premise. They don't understand how insurgencies would work, or any sort, if there was God forbid, some kind of civil war or something, that there wouldn't be F-15 strafing residential neighborhoods or something where someone has a illegal pistol brace, but my opinion on the matter is if they have to use a nuke or a F-15 to take out me and my Air-15, I consider that a win.
Right. Yeah.
They have to send a fourth generation fighter after me.
Yeah. Blows my mind. But I don't know. It's weird how things are going, and I hate to say, everyone's like, oh, what's happening in this world? Well, it's been fucking gradually happening for the last 10 years. So I don't know. It's one of those things that should pop up or what have you, but it's always better to be somewhat prepared. They're now talking about 15-minute cities. I don't know if you heard that. And
Oh yeah, that stuff's so shit. I mean, like that's why it's so important to maintain autonomy and like the ability to defend ourselves and stuff, because that's the end game of this, is they'll have everyone be in this weird serfdom, like in dystopian crap, where, like, for those of you who don't know, it's in different parts of Europe. I think the UK specifically, they're trying to make these little, like, in the name of climate change, make these 15-minute cities where it's like a blocked in zone where you can't really travel more than 15 minutes and you don't need a car, but you can't leave without like paying some sort of fee for the extra carbon credits or whatever, or you have to get like a special passport authorized to be able to leave this unit of area.
It reminds me of that TV show called The Colony way back when. And it's basically they had these cities, and they're around, everybody had there's a large wall and you couldn't go past the wall, and and they want to try that shit in Canada. It's just
or like that. There's that other movie with Justin Timberlake, actually, where they had like time was like their money, but you could live forever. Yeah. They had like these zones where they would have a massive toll where of 10 years of time that you would have to pay to get out of that part of the city. So it kind of just like kept, like, you're allowed to leave, but it kept the proles like locked in because they couldn't afford it.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And it's just basically, I remember that and he won a whole bunch of money or
poker or whatever. Like some dead guy like give him like 100 years so he could go.
Yeah, just crazy. But just the amount of stuff that they've been trying to do for the past, I always say I should say the higher power that's been trying to, corral us into this, whatever. It's always better to have, a plan and a bug out plan. And a group is another good thing to kind of stick with and hope for the best.
Yeah, if you can, obviously, like that's something I've never been able to really get going, is any sort of like group, but it's definitely something I probably need to do.
Well, I'm sure there's lots of people down in the States that you could, even now.
Sure, there are. Yeah.
The place that you're living in, I know it's not a bunch of tree hip and hippies and
not as many, not as much as like Portland or something.
I just feel bad though, if you find a bug out location outside of where you live, you're probably 9 times out of 10, wherever you dig, you're going to find a body. So
yeah, right. Out in the desert.
Yeah, but that'd be as like, fuck, now we gotta move another place to and
I had bodies don't bother me.
Some fucking mafia.
Feed them to the chickens. They did actually, I don't know if you've heard this, but with all the water drought issues, Lake Mead, which is the reservoir behind Hoover Dam, it's been like really lowering, like at historically low levels, and they found multiple bodies, a couple in a barrel that are like now on the shore from like the 70s.
Wow.
They've had at least 2 bodies that they found in Lake Mead from decades ago.
Jesus, can you imagine? Fucking probably solve some cases. But that's crazy.
Yep. Wild stuff. So yeah, make sure you guys get your Rule the Wasteland Survival fishing kit to add to your bug out bag. And you got to have your long spoon.
Definitely, you're definitely gonna have to throw a link up for those long spoons, because I might have.
Yeah, I will. Once I'm done with this video, I will. Well, let me see if I can find one and put it in the chat. But I'll put it in the description for the video after.
It's probably down in the States. They're only about $4.99. But
yeah, I really don't think they're expensive.
Canada, they're probably like $29 because duty free and all that other.
Okay, here we go. It's the GSI Outdoor Essential Spoon, long. It's $5.
Of course. I wonder how much
that
would
post
be
this.
in Canada.
I mean, like if it's, I don't know. Check Canadian Prepper might have them on his website.
So you sent a bunch of stuff to the Canadian Prepper.
I just sent him 2 of these of the fishing kits to see if he's interested in putting them on his website. But he won't have even gotten them yet. I did that like yesterday, so.
Okay. Well, definitely. But, what do you charge for those things?
These are $32.95 on Amazon.
Okay.
And on my website. Hopefully I would be able to get them to him and not have to change the price, but it depends on what shipping is to Canada, obviously. So.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. So now, is that $32.99 American.
Yes, that's American.
Oh man, so that's like $73,000 in Canada.
Whatever it is now, yeah, probably. Sorry, that's not my fault.
But
that would mean the long spoon would be probably $10 for you guys.
Yeah, fucking terrible.
But they're cheap. They're lightweight, so you could ship them pretty easily.
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe I can check Wish.
Yeah, right. Get the Chinese version. It's just a piece of plastic. Probably wouldn't be too much worse. But this one has a cool like silicone covering on the end. I'm not sure exactly what probably prevent it from melting if it hits the edge of the the bottom of your pot or whatever.
The problem is with those, like, is it plastic? Because in Canada,
it is.
Forks and knives are now illegal.
What?
According to our supreme overlord, he
oh my
wants
God.
to get rid of those things.
Well, there's another one then you can get, which I will put the link for. It's a titanium like spork version of the same thing. Let me see where it's at here. The Tito titanium long handle spoon, eco-friendly, ultralight. So we'll put that one in the
how much is that?
That one's $7 American.
Oh, well, that's not bad.
And they have different colors you can get. You can get a pink rainbow one if you want.
Wow, that would go well in Canada.
Yeah, right now.
Jesus.
So here we go. Titanium long spork. Post that link in there as well. So you guys can get a long spoon, a long spork, a long something. You can get all the way in your little pouches. Just like nature intended. Someone says, I'm always shocked at Canadian meal prices, especially fast food, what I see on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine because right now, I mean, like fast food here is getting ridiculous. You go into a McDonald's and get a value meal, you're going to be spending $11 to $15, it seems like. So I guess what's it like in Canadian dollars if you go to
I went to A&W a couple weeks ago. I got 4 combos of burgers, fries, and a drink, and it was $62. Yeah, I know, right? It was
that's like someone made it was like a day's wages.
Yeah,
it's like you might as well just get paid by credit at the company store and get a bag of salt or whatever. Jesus.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I'll never order that shit again. And it wasn't very good.
Right. It's not, and like nowadays, I mean, like food prices have gone up, sure, but like I can still get steak here for $5 to $8 a pound, depending on the sale prices. So
right.
I get like 2 pounds of steak for the price of a McDonald's meal. It's like, come on.
It blows my mind. Like it's hard to. Well, I was at Costco. I was picking up the loins of steak or whatever it was.
Right.
And it was last year it was probably about $100, and now the same thing that I was buying is about bucks or 179.
Yeah.
189. So it's garbage, man. It's like and it's funny, everyone's like, well, you can't blame the government for inflation. Well,
like hell I can't.
Fucking idiots were been printing money for the last year and a bit to
right. They're directly responsible for that. I don't blame them.
Oh, people are so fucking stupid. But you know what? They don't give a shit because they're probably getting subsidies from the government, or they're on AISH or whatever assistance that
and get tax returns that are more than the entirety that they paid in taxes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But this what Mark's talking about, the bugs, they did talk about building up these, even in Canada they've talked about building these giant cricket factories for I don't know,
it's such a weird push to have it all happen so suddenly with the cricket shit. I don't know what's going on. Maybe we are run by reptilians and they need to get their bug fix in.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, right.
But, only time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, but definitely, if you're in a setup where you can get any sort of food production, chickens. I read somewhere that if in the U.S. at least, if 10% of people of like households had 3 chickens, that would completely like fulfill the entire domestic egg, like current egg use.
Wow.
Like 10% of 1 out of 10 people just had 3 chickens. So that's why I'm not too worried about the egg thing long term, because it's just too easy to get to have chickens and produce them yourselves. That'll correct after a while, but
I've been
Yeah.
seeing some stuff on TikTok though about people talking about the chicken feed. They're not producing eggs.
I've seen that. I don't know if that is just because I know JJ just did a video on that he doesn't think that that's true. He said he's been using that food that everyone's talking about. His are laying fine. Hopefully it's not true. If it is true, it's at least not universal, which is good. And so hopefully that's just a myth. I think it's maybe a few people are having this issue. Maybe it's low, like a regional, and then that's getting like everyone talking about it, but hopefully it's not
Right.
true. But I know there was someone from one of these like natural news websites or something was going to actually chemically test it
Wow.
to see the one, like, because it was the Tractor Supply food that everyone was talking about. So hopefully that's just a some kind of urban myth, because that would be bad. It'd be really bad. Or even if it was true, hopefully it's getting enough word of mouth that they would stop doing it so as to not get caught. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. Let's see. I'm just going to answer some questions here.
Go for it.
Let's see. Nobody.
Get ready for food riots. Yeah, we'll have all sorts of issues with food prices, and that's why you got to stock up. Get your stag chili, get your rice, because there's over the next few years, especially as this escalates into other countries, and God forbid China. You know, if we ever get into it with China, so much of what we buy is just not going to be available simply because they make it all. So,
well, that's the biggest scary thing. But you know what? I even think if we ever got into it with China, they'd still ship over that stuff, because technically that's money for them, right? So
yeah, it depends on like really what was going on. If they're but you see what was happening with Ukraine, like all these countries were trying to do sanctions that ended up hurting themselves more than Russia. So I suspect we would probably see the same thing.
Right.
Oh, and sorry, Donna, I thought I had my memes ready, but I didn't actually. I apologize. I said I would have them. They're not on my computer. I don't know where they're at. Or if they are, they're spread out. So next time I will have memes. I'm sorry. There were some good ones.
Definitely got to have the memes.
Yeah, got to bring back the meme. Meme warfare is big. I was trying to make a shirt. Someone can make this for me if you want, but don't steal my idea. I was going to make a logo, a Chick-fil-A logo, but it's Crick-fil-A instead, and it has Klaus Schwab saying "Eat more crickets."
I got a
somebody design that for me and send it to me, please, for my birthday.
That's perfect. My sister-in-law makes shirts. I'll definitely have to see if we can get something like that.
Yeah, I've got shirts on like rulethewasteland.com. They're like print on demand. So I would add it up there.
Okay, perfect.
Robert says about 3 months ago, I went from getting 8 to 10 eggs a day to getting 2 to 4. I mean, I do know that winter is seasonally lower production for chickens typically, especially if you're having less sunlight. They tend to respond to that a lot. So if you haven't yet, you can try putting artificial light that seems to increase their production, given a few extra hours of light a day.
Jesus, man, I 10 eggs a day. 10?
Man, if you get a good laying hen, it can do like 5 to 7 or 7 eggs or more a week each. So if you just have a couple chickens.
Okay, sorry. I thought I read that wrong. I thought he was eating 10 eggs.
Hey, that's not that crazy either. Big ass drink. You just fucking slunk some eggs down.
Can you imagine? Just like bloop, bloop.
A lot of people do that, like crack it, drink them raw.
Oh, God.
Like Rocky. Nice wizard. Got a killdozer shirt. So he is ruling the wasteland. I appreciate it.
Oh, nice.
That's where they're at. Yeah, they're at rulethewasteland.com.
I'll have to hopefully our money gets better in price, and I'll be able to order stuff from the States again.
I know, right? It won't be like twice as expensive for you guys. If I ever make it up there, I'll have to smuggle some shit over for you.
Yeah, right. Well, I was thinking, go to some of the borders here in Canada to the States. It's there's a place that you just kind of hop the fence, and I'll call an Uber and go somewhere, do some shopping, and get the Uber back to the little place to jump over again and walk back home. But I don't know.
Awesome. Well, I gotta go. Actually, I can't stay too long tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
It was fun, man.
Shut it down and
thanks everybody for watching. Go get your long spoons and your Rule the Wasteland survival fishing kit, and check out Gray Sox Productions on TikTok if you haven't already.
For sure. And 2 weeks we'll do her again.
Yeah, let's do it tentatively for 2 weeks. If something comes up, we'll change it. But I like it. It seems to work so far, and hopefully we'll get Che back in, see what he's up to. He can fix his schedule. So thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you next.